Hey guys, Scripture here with another video, and today we're talking about Sabine because the whole thing in Ahsoka Season 2, it turns out, was actually, and her Force abilities and all that stuff, turns out it was all part of a gigantic mess that just continues to come from Disney Lucasfilm. It's one thing to say that Sabine being able to use the Force is justified. Now we know back in 1981, Kasdan asked George Lucas, the Force was available to anyone who could hook into it, and he says, yes, everybody can do it. Kasdan, not just the Jedi. It's just the Jedi who take the time to do it. They use it as a technique. Like yoga, if you want to take the time to do it, you can do it, but the ones that really want to do it are the ones that are that kind of thing, also like karate. Now, he did say that, and you can't deny that, but like George does all the time, I think he changed his mind. Because this interview is from 1981 pertaining to it's the making of Return of the Jedi, okay? In the prequels, the Jedi went out of their way to procure Force-sensitive kids. If it was just that anybody could do it, why would you be wasting your time traveling all over the galaxy getting these kids for? Why wouldn't you just grab anybody off the street and work with them? I'm not going to go so far as to say it couldn't happen or that wouldn't work. It does kind of muddy the water of the story of the prequels by saying anybody can use it. And then, of course, he does the whole midichlorian thing and how that's such a big issue. It isn't really just about, oh, if you take enough time, you can be really good at it in the prequels. There's other things that he's now added. So that, for me, creates a problem. The other thing, too, it's like, so they protect Luke and they make a huge deal about him being this special guy that Obi-Wan wants to train and then brings him to Yoda and then has to convince Yoda to train him, or at least that's how it's perceived. Maybe Yoda was sort of just playing a game the whole time with that, but so it doesn't make it that they couldn't, it just, maybe the way I'm trying to say it is it kind of takes away from all the specialness of it, right? Because George did go out of his way to make it like a special thing in his 6 movies. And like I said, I know that interview's from 81, and so he had already done the OT, and then, like I said, he added another aspect of the specialness with the prequels, the way the Jedi were, with the kids and the midichlorians and all that stuff. So it's like, I feel like he changed his mind after 1981, after he said that, because the movies and the prequels don't really reflect that. They kind of could, I guess. But again, it just kind of takes away from the specialness of it. Does that mean I don't think somebody could use the Force that just was some regular Joe Blow? I guess if I go off of this, I have to say yes. But like I said, I think he changed his mind. He changed his mind on lots of stuff all the time. All the time. So, having said all that, though, that's not really the debate I want to have here, is whether or not Sabine should have been able to use the Force. My whole thing is, what is going on at Disney Lucasfilm to where things like this are happening? So let's look at what was said here. Henry Gilroy was a Star Wars Rebels writer, and he says, they never planned for Sabine Wren to become a Jedi. The whole writing team thought it was a bad idea when they previously discussed it. It was absolutely not the plan. We really felt that not only did it step on Ezra's story. Okay, so that's interesting, right? Because we know that they have stepped on male characters' stories to try and prop up female characters. That's like been a thing in Star Wars. If you don't know that, it's a major thing. It's in literature, making of Star Wars, The Last Jedi, all types of stuff. They all agreed to it. Filoni agreed to it, that they had to diminish Luke. Don't make him the focal point, because then the people won't focus on the women, Leia and Rey. And that's been a thing. And like, you think about how they treated Han. He's back smuggling. There was no growth at all. He's just this loser. So they have gone out of their way to prop up the female characters by lowering the other characters. And so he's saying that they didn't want to do that with Ezra. So it's not that they didn't value Sabine, it's just that Sabine was what she was, and they valued Ezra as being the Jedi. It was a weak retread We already did this. The idea of Sabine training as a Jedi when she is already this fantastic warrior of her own type, we felt this was overkill. Well, and that's just it, right? You pick something, right? Like, they tend to try to make these female characters everything. I've talked about this with Rey, right? She's the mechanic, she's the pilot, she's the knowledge, she's the Force user, she's the leader, she's all of the OT characters combined in one person, which made the whole thing boring because, you know, the whole thing was just, where's Rey, right? That was the whole thing. Even for Poe, oh, well, Rey's not here, you know, when they're doing the flying the Falcon and Chewie's looking at him like, and then somebody made a meme, right? Oh, who cares about Rey? I've been doing this for 90, 100 years, whatever he's been doing it for, right? He's pretty old. So it's like, it's just another thing. Like, he's saying she's a really cool warrior character. If we want to put a female Jedi, let's just make a new person, right? Like, I would think the exact same way. Let's not make every female character everything. And I really think, too, that doing this can also take away from Ahsoka's story. Even though, I mean, Ahsoka should obviously be dead. I don't know what they're thinking with this stuff. This is so stupid. But anyway, he says we felt this was overkill. And it is overkill. It's dumb. It's stupid. Nobody liked Rey. All it's going to do is make people not like Sabine. Because she's just going to slowly be put on an island where she doesn't need anybody else to help her. And she doesn't need, like, that's what happened with Rey. You need to have those interactions, and you need to have the group come together, and all of them have different things to offer and different personalities and yada, yada, yada. So now you got Ahsoka and Sabine, 2 Jedi, on whatever that Peridia. So is there anybody else there? Is there a mechanic? Is there the humor guy? Is there, like, it's just Jedi chicks, man, everywhere. Shin, it's just Jedi chicks. I had nothing to do with the Ahsoka series, so I was shocked. Well, why would you be shocked? Oh, because they weren't going to do this, and then Dave decided to do this. I have to say, guys, Dave Filoni is not a good writer. He is not. You have to accept this. Even shows that he was involved with that people really like, and I do think there are people that liked Rebels. There were other people involved. It wasn't just him. He is the writer of the Ahsoka show, and look what happened. It was a terrible show. I mean, in so many ways. I've talked about this many, many times. I'll give you one example where it's just awful. So he writes that Thrawn has a zombie trooper army, okay? All they are in the show is zombie trooper by the way that they look. Like, zombies are relentless. They'll chase you down till they'll kill you. You better kill them or else they're killing you. That's it. That's what they do. And then there's a portion in the show where they're all shooting at Ahsoka, and then she starts fighting Morgan, and then they just stand there and stop shooting at her. That's not zombie behavior. They were only zombies in the aesthetic, which was pretty crappy too, by the way, with the stupid red ribbons and all this nonsense, and that guy with the gold face. What the heck was that? But none of them were real zombies. They didn't act like zombies. So he's a really bad writer. Everything's superficial. Everything's surface level with him. And so this is another example, in my opinion, where it's like, oh, we can have Sabine swing a lightsaber, and that would look so cool. And we could have Sabine do a force push, and that would look so cool. Oh, it just looks cool. He doesn't get into the depth of anything, which is, of course, manifested in the fact that she's doing training with Ahsoka, not a whole heck of a lot, but she's doing training, and she can't move a cup across the table, and then a couple days later, she's pushing Ezra 100 meters further in the air to get him onto the ship. So again, it was just all surface level. There was no real development. And that's a huge thing to do in the Force, is to push somebody that far. And against gravity. So it's all surface level stuff with Filoni, and that's why when I hear about Ahsoka Season 2, when I hear about Filoni versus movies, when I see his involvement in The Mandalorian and Grogu, that's very disappointing, because all Dave does is surface level crap. You know, it's like, oh, I have to have a problem, so, make the New Republic stupid so that the problem can happen. That's how he writes. He doesn't have the ability to think deeply. It's all about visuals and surface level stuff and just moving the plot along, and if it means Thrawn has to be a dumb strategist in the Ahsoka show so that they can get on his ship, well, then we're just going to have to do that, because I can't think of anything deeper than that, and I can't think of any way that they can get on there in a really cool, well-written, stealthy way. So it's just, Thrawn's dumb, even though that goes against his character. So no wonder Henry Gilroy was shocked. But you know what, Henry? Now you won't be. The next time you see Dave do more stupid stuff, now you won't be. All these people should have known. I mean, I've been talking about Dave Filoni being garbage since the Clone Wars. Lots of stupid stuff. So, I mean, he's a storyboard artist. That's what he is. And then they elevated him. George elevated him because he liked him. Not because he's talented. What I love about the story with the Darksaber is that you don't have to be a Jedi to have Jedi ideals. I think that's what's really the more important thing, rather than Force pushing Ezra 100 feet when you've never used the Force before. So there you go. And this also speaks to a lack of cohesion. The whole thing, and we've talked about this before on this channel, the whole thing, the story group, and the story group's supposed to stabilize everything and keep the continuity and certainly bring people together, right? You're sharing ideas. But then Henry says, well, we never planned on doing this with Sabine. We thought it was a bad idea, which means, by the way, if he says the whole writing team thought it was a bad idea when they previously, so that means somebody in the writing team put out that idea. I'm guessing it was Filoni. Put out the idea of Sabine being a Jedi, and then the writing team was like, no. And then when Dave got control with the live action, he goes, okay, I'm doing this now. This is mine. I'm doing what I want. This is the problem with the whole thing, is they haven't been cohesive and they haven't been in agreement, and the writers group did not keep things organized and proper. And so it's just a mess. It's just a bunch of people doing whatever they feel like, and Kathy's allowed that and actually endorsed that. We know that with The Acolyte and other shows where she says, go do your thing. Gilroy, go do your thing with Andor. So it's a disorganized mess. Now you've given full creative control to Dave. So Dave strikes me as the type of guy that he's going to wield that control. Like, he's not going to let other people tell him what to do. And I think this is a prime example. So basically what we're going to be getting now, in perpetuity, is Dave. So if you like Dave Filoni Star Wars, well, you're in for a treat, because that's all it's going to be now. You really think that if him and John have an issue, that John's going to overrule him, or Dave's going to let him overrule him? I highly doubt it. Highly doubt it. They literally argued on camera about whether Luke was a Jedi Master. There's no way that, at least in my opinion, that Dave is going to relinquish any kind of control, because this is an example of he had the ability to do it, and he did it. And there's nothing anybody else could do about it. And he didn't involve anybody else, he just did it. And they were shocked, as Henry says here. So anyways, guys, I think Sabine being a Jedi sucks in a myriad of different ways. But even if you do like it, we have to acknowledge that they have serious issues with story groups and cohesion, and it's a real mess over there. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a very good day.